Talk here from the Stormforce Fitness Academy, just to give you a quick introduction to our Athlete Unleashed weekend, which is coming up towards the end of October. It's going to be a pretty explosive weekend, really covering everything you need to know from the mindset, nutrition, and obviously the training point of view to be a better athlete, whether you're an amateur or at a higher level, but you're not kind of sure where to go with strength and conditioning. So, quick introduction to me. Basically, I live my life as one big experiment now, whether it's muscle building, cycling across America. We went from the East Coast to the West Coast. Tough guy, one of the hardest endurance events in the UK, and at the moment I'm training for Muay Thai fighting. So you can see I don't just pigeonhole myself into one particular sport. It's about taking on a challenge and then finding out exactly what you need to do to be your best for that particular challenge or that sport. So I've had a lot of people asking me, how do I get ready for this challenge? How do I get ready to cycle from Land's End to John O'Groats? How do I get ready for rugby, football? So I decided it was time to actually put all of this stuff together and show people essentially how to win more, how to be faster, how to be quicker, how to be more powerful, how to get an athletic body, even if you're not engaged in kind of high level sport. A lot of people want to look like an athlete, but they're doing completely the wrong training and not eating the right stuff. So this weekend is going to show you how to draw together the principles when it comes to strength, conditioning and nutrition for your particular sport. This is just a quick introduction. You can see some of the kind of stuff we're going to cover over the weekend. So Olympic lifting, looking at snatch and the clean and jerk, which if you've been watching the Olympics recently, you'll have seen that at the highest possible level. Prowler work, bench press, core strength, variations on typical exercises you might see in the gym, but that are a lot more appropriate to sport. You're going to know what it feels like to actually do a proper strength and conditioning session, so you're kind of mimicking the intensity of your sport. We're going to go over mindset, how to get your mind in the right place, really breaking down techniques where you get things right. Okay, if you're doing things wrong and you're just pushing yourself with really heavy weights but doing it badly, then you're not going to get anywhere. Okay, so we'll be looking at exercise technique. We'll cover some of the core exercises that you probably haven't seen before using kettlebells, and obviously we're going to talk about food as well, so how you can get your body into an anabolic state. We're really looking at the stuff that works. You know, we're not messing around. A lot of stuff that gets done in gyms just doesn't really have that much an effect. So I'm going to show you exactly what you need to do to be taking on challenges like you're seeing at the moment and kind of building up. That's me a few years after having a fractured spine, so it is possible. Okay, you've just got to have a desire to get better. Okay, so that's what I used to look like. You know, come from exactly where a lot of guys have. I was a skinny guy at school, didn't have a lot of confidence, and I've had to learn all this stuff and figure out how to actually build my body. And that doesn't mean being a bodybuilder. There is actually a difference. If you want to be an athlete, if you want to be stronger and perform better, then bodybuilding is not the way to go. I don't have anything against bodybuilding. If you just want pure size, then you know it's a good way to go. But if you actually want to be better at sport and be stronger and faster and quicker, build up your power, then using bodybuilding routines isn't the way to go. Typical bodybuilding routines as you see in the magazines. Truth is, actually, a lot of the old school top bodybuilders used to use a lot of the strongman stuff, the Olympic lifting, but that got lost along the way. Now we've got this half-assed effort in the gym where people are just doing kind of light or moderate weights for moderate reps. And yes, it will help you put on a bit of muscle, but if you're really looking for that athletic performance and that athletic body, then we got to start doing something different. You know, if you're looking to be in better condition, you're wanting to be stronger, more powerful, have quicker reactions, you don't want to gas out early when you're fighting or when you're on the pitch, then if you're doing bodybuilding stuff and working the shoulders and the guns, you know, you're wasting your time. So just tell you where I've come from. I've worked with guys like Martin Rooney. If you follow MMA at all or BJJ, then you're going to know of the Gracies. And Martin Rooney is the strength conditioning guy for the Gracies. You know, that's at the very highest level. Again, it's looking at how to get guys in the best possible shape they can. These guys' lives depend on it. From a physical state, so they don't want to be getting absolutely pounded into the ground or getting limbs snapped. And from a livelihood point of view, they've got to win to make money. So I've obviously learned a lot of Martin. Worked with guys like Dax Moore. He's taught me more from a nutrition perspective and hormones and how to optimize the body, because an unhealthy body isn't going to perform well. And that's something a lot of people miss out on. If you think you can just train hard in the gym and just eat whatever you like because you think it's on a calorie in, calorie out basis, then you're not going to be the best you can. And Phil Richards as well, very good friend of mine, very good coach as well. Again, focuses very much on health and hormones, and by doing that, then we are able to train like a beast and get the results we want to see on the pitch or in the ring or whatever sport you're engaging in. And something you're going to learn is that 80% of this stuff applies to everybody. Yes, obviously certain changes need to be made when it comes to individual sports, that should go without saying, but a lot of it is very much the same. The principles are the same, it's just slightly different methods for different sports. From a personal point of view, worked with D-Wild Senecal, he contacted me to come and train over here for 4 weeks, just kind of ate, slept and trained, and we turned him into a beast over 4 weeks. A lot less inflamed. He was following a typical bodybuilder diet of far too much protein. He was doing the wrong training, so he wasn't getting the strength and power gains, and he was just ending up with inflamed joints, which is not a good idea when you're trying to be a pro athlete. So that was D-Wild. Worked with some of the guys who fought in the cage night over here in Guernsey, and the Guernsey rugby team as well. They won the division last season, and were a lot of people commenting on their strength and conditioning and how they dealt with bigger teams, and yet they were still outpowering them. And I'm going to show you all that stuff over the Athlete Unleashed weekend. Okay, so really, what's the formula? What are you going to find in the weekend? Well, we're going to cover nutrition, from the basics up to more advanced stuff, strength and conditioning program design. And you need to have a program that is specific for what you're trying to achieve. I'm not just going to say, here's a strength program, here's a conditioning program, because it's going to differ depending on what your sport is and what the goals are at that particular time. An introduction to Olympic lifting. If you've seen the lifting on the Olympics recently, that's the kind of exercises you need to be doing. The snatch, the clean and jerk, amazing for developing power. You're not going to be dealing with the same kind of weights those guys are, but again, it's the principles and the effect on your nervous system and how your body works and your ability to generate speed and power over a very short amount of time. That's why you need to be doing Olympic lifting if you want to get stronger and faster. We're going to work on mindset. At the end of the day, if your mindset's not there, then you're not going to really achieve much. Sprint training, how to optimize sprint training and get faster. Hormone optimization is something that I've got more and more into over the last couple of years, simply because if your hormones are imbalanced and your body's not effectively working properly inside, then you're just going to get frustrated. You feel like you're doing the right training, you're pushing yourself hard, but because of stress and everything else, you're just not going to see the same results. We'll show you how to make the most of your hormones, and we're going to have some live sessions as well. It isn't just going to be here's some great theory kind of seminar and you sit down getting bored. We're going to go through what needs to be done, and then we're going to actually go and do it, so you know how it should feel and you can actually perfect technique and everything else. So nutrition, we're going to be looking at detoxification, how we can actually clean out the body so that everything works properly and your cardiovascular system's working better, your brain's working better, critical things for any sportsman. Anabolism with energy. Yes, you can get any kind of bodybuilding diet out there and be chugging loads of food down and protein shakes, and you will get bigger. But most of the time, you're going to end up falling asleep. You're not going to perform properly because you're in a highly acidic state. So we're going to look at how you can actually build muscle but have the energy you need to train. Nutrient timings, we're looking at what you should be having before, during, and post-workout, and obviously post-competition as well, so you can really optimize what you're doing. This can make a huge difference. We've made some really good discoveries through what we've learnt, and we've been applying that in our Stormforce triathlon team with the fighters in our own training, and it's really good stuff, really powerful. Natural steroid hormone boosting. I'm not a drugs fan, never done it, would never promote it. What I am a fan of is being able to boost your steroid hormones naturally, so taking in certain foods at certain times, and game time protocols, so what to actually take and when, specific timings around your most intense sessions and sports, so you can get the most out of your body. Strength and conditioning program design. Most people, 80% of what they're doing in the gym is pretty much a waste of time for their goals, and actually if they just did the other 20% with brutality and vigour, they'd get much better results. So we're going to look at how we can shift you to doing what you need to do and nothing else. So 100% of what you're doing is effective and it's worth doing, and you're not wasting time and energy doing other stuff. I want to show you how you can train hard continuously. So you can be engaging in tough training but keep it up, rather than doing it for, say, a week and then finding you're just knackered and you want to sleep. How do you program this into a week so you can do it over and over and over again for months and years on end? We're going to look at prioritization over periodization. I use that word prioritization because the truth is, as an athlete, you always need to be doing strength training. You always need to be doing power training. You always need to be eating properly. You know, certain things need to be done all the time, but you're going to prioritize certain things depending on your individual abilities, depending on where you're at compared to where you want to be. For instance, if you're a really strong guy, you're naturally strong, but your conditioning's poor, there's no point saying, well, we need to do a strength phase first, because you're just going to get stronger, but you're still going to be blown out your ass during a fight. So we've got to look at how we can be training everything, but prioritizing the key things for you as an individual. As I said earlier, you're not a bodybuilder. You know, if you want to put on muscle, there are ways to put on muscle without doing the typical bodybuilder training, which can involve much more stress on the muscles, a lot of inflammation, longer recovery periods. We've got to figure out how you can put on muscle if you need to without following these methods, which just don't make you any better at your sport. And we're going to look at what is conditioning. The word gets bandied around a lot these days. I need to do more conditioning. And when you ask people, what are you getting conditioned for? I know I need to do more conditioning. Well, the very term is you're getting in condition for something. So conditioning for a rugby player is going to be different for a boxer. And within that, you know, whatever different positions in rugby require different specialities, different abilities. Yes, some of it will be shared, but you know, forwards are going to need different things to backs because the nature of the game and the things you're required to do are different. So the conditioning is different. Olympic lifting, like I said, you're not a bodybuilder, so you've got to look at actually doing the right thing. So why are we Olympic lifting? Why are we doing certain things, and when are we doing it? You've got to learn to lift fast, and you've got to learn to activate muscles very, very quickly. That's how you're going to get more powerful and quicker, and Olympic lifting is the way forward. So we're going to show you the technical aspects of it, how you actually perform the lifts, but also the coaching workshop is going to show you how to progress safely. So Olympic lifting can actually be done with dumbbells to start with. For instance, you've got restricted range of motion in the shoulders. Sometimes dumbbell snatches will be more appropriate than barbell snatches, and you can still work on the speed. You're still transferring weight at a fast pace, but it just means you've got a little bit more freedom in the upper body. So we're going to cover all of that in the sessions. Mindset. We're going to look at how to go from goal setting to goal getting. It's very easy to say, I'm going to run a 10K in 35 minutes. And that's it. That's it. Okay, great. So you've set the goal, but how are you actually going to get it? So we're going to actually look at how to break that down so you're a lot more dialed into what you're trying to achieve. Visualization, again, getting dialed into what you want to achieve requires your subconscious brain understanding what you're after. It's all about reprogramming your mindset so your brain accepts that it's the where you want to be is actually the reality now. So you're telling yourself, I'm already a champion fighter. Keep telling your brain that. You use certain visualization protocols that we're going to go through. Your brain will start to accept it, and it will start making you act in certain ways that get you closer to that goal a lot quicker. How to stay on track as an amateur athlete. This stuff, pros use mindset training and psychologists and everything else because they know how important it is. For you, sometimes it can be even harder because you've still got the demands of work and family and everything else, and it's hard when you're not a pro athlete who has all day to train. How do we manage this? How do we actually stay on track without getting frustrated and distracted? And game time preparation as well. So what can we actually do on the day to improve our chances of winning? We're going to do a live sprint training workshop, so getting the start position right, how to be a lot more explosive off the blocks. We're going to look at speed training versus conditioning. You know, some people are telling me they're doing sprint training. They're sprinting 100 meters, jogging back and going again straight away. That's not speed training. That is, you're going to get tired a lot quicker. You're not going to, if you actually time your 100 meters, they're going to be slower each time. That's not training speed. So we can look at the difference between sprint training and conditioning and how to manage rest breaks and everything else. Mobility and activation, what muscles do we need to activate? How do we improve mobility so that our body actually has the freedom to move faster? If your hips are very restricted and your glutes aren't working and everything else, you're not going to be able to sprint as fast as you could. We're then going to move into hormone optimization. This is where we get into the really juicy stuff, how to utilize insulin and all the other hormones that are related to insulin to help you grow and recover and lose body fat. Managing, and we talk about managing stress reactions, but how can we actually use stress reactions? Stress isn't a bad thing, it's a necessary part of the human reaction, the fight or flight syndrome, which is what you need to be a top athlete. So how can we use it in the right situations but manage it so it doesn't affect us at other times? Optimal recovery. If you're not recovering and your hormones are all over the place, then you're going to find it's a right struggle in your next session. So we're going to look at how to balance testosterone and estrogen. This all applies to men and women as well, getting those in balance. You're going to find testosterone and estrogen in every human being. It's not like men just have testosterone, girls just have estrogen. We need a certain balance. Obviously, different between men and women, but they do both exist. Adrenaline as well. How can we manage ourselves so the adrenaline is pumping at the right time and our adrenal glands are at full function? And cortisol, and that comes back to stress hormones as well. So we're going to go over all of this stuff and show you how to manage it all and get it in the right place. And finally, live sessions. Like I said, we're not just going to be sat there, here's what to do, here's some pieces of paper, go off and do it. We're actually going to go through live sessions so you know what it feels like. Because if you don't know what it feels like, then when you're in the gym, you kind of think you're working hard, you think you're doing the right things, and actually you're not. So you're putting the brakes on yourself. So how different training should feel. Again, strength training versus conditioning versus muscle building, you're going to feel different after each session. So what is the difference and what should I feel like? We'll look at tempos and rest intervals, again dependent on the exercises and the goals and the sport and everything else. Different types of conditioning. There's so many different ways to do conditioning depending on what the goal is. So we're going to cover the different ways of doing conditioning. Measuring and testing the right things as well. So what are we looking to measure within a session? What are we looking to measure over a week? How do we test ourselves properly and make sure that the tests show what we want them to show? So is it for you? Well, if all the stuff I've described so far really floats your boat, it gets you going, you're thinking that's exactly what I need, then obviously it is for you. It's not for you if you're going to just go away and keep researching other stuff and mix everything together and hope that by chucking it all in one big cauldron it's going to work. Okay, so if you work out a lot but you're not really performing any better, you're getting injured a lot, then this is definitely for you. We're going to show you the right things to be doing, so you're not just dragging your body down by training. This is the difference between training and working out. Just because you're going to the gym and you feel a bit tired afterwards and you've got a good sweat on, doesn't mean you're training. It doesn't mean you're going to perform any better at your sport. It's for you if you want to look and perform like an athlete. Some people don't want to be actually getting in a cage and actually fighting somebody else, but they want to train like a fighter. And I'm the first one to say, if you really want to look like a fighter, then you need to do exactly what they're doing. You need to get in the ring and experience it from the mindset and the physical point of view. However, doing this training, learning how to do strength and power training and really tough conditioning sessions will transform your physique. If you're an internet warrior and you've lost patience with searching for different things, you've gone on a million different blogs and websites and you're reading magazines as well and you're posting in forums and spending hours and hours each week but never getting anywhere, this is for you. I want to give you stuff so you can ignore everything else. Go on a kind of information diet. It's just use this stuff, do it properly, and you will get amazing results. You can literally free up 4 or 5 hours a week, if not more, from not having to just keep researching more and more information. Unfortunately, the internet's great for some things, but it's a bit of a drag for some people because they're just spending so much time sifting through information without actually getting anywhere. If you want to be the best you can, plain and simple, this is about making you a better person physically and mentally. So whether you're playing rugby, tennis, badminton, squash, football, you're a fighter, this is about being the best you can. Okay, it's not going to be a one size fits all. It's going to be here are the principles of what you need to do. Here's how to adapt it for different sports. Go away and do it and get better. And this is for you if you're a doer. I don't want people coming who are just going to sit there and go, yeah, this is brilliant, I've got even more information now, and still not get in the gym and work your ass off. This stuff is to be used. It's to be used week in, week out, month after month, year after year. It's for acting on. Okay, so I need people who are going to do stuff. They're going to act on what I'm going to show you, and I want you to be able to focus on it. You're not just going to, in 3 months, go, oh yeah, I've just remembered all that stuff I got from John. You know, it's focus on what your program is. You're not going to go away and go, yeah, well, this stuff was really good, but I'm going to keep kind of doing some of this bodybuilding stuff and put on muscle. I don't want people who want to build muscle, burn fat, be a 10K runner and a fighter and play rugby all at the same time. You've got to be able to focus on what your goal is and what your sport is. So when's it all going off? It's going to be Saturday the 27th and Sunday the 28th of October 2012. It's a full 2 days, so you need to be able to commit pretty much 9 to 5 and a little bit of time either side. It's going to be held at Stormforce Fitness in Guernsey, based at the indoor cricket ground next to the Hoog de Pommier, where we've got all our lifting platforms and conditioning areas, so we can do our sessions there. It's 2 full days. There are only 20 spaces because I want to be able to coach people along the way. So if you're not in the first 20, I'm not going to make more space because we simply cannot do it. I don't want 40, 50 people there and not be able to give you the time and the coaching and the information that you deserve on an individual level. So make sure you're in the first 20, otherwise you're going to have to wait till the next one, and quite honestly I have no idea when it's going to be. Probably be well after Christmas, if at all. And your investment in the program will include all programs and handouts. You're going to have sample programs, sample nutrition sheets and examples, so you can go away and go over it again once the weekend's done. Okay, so all you need to do now is go to stormforcefitness.com/athlete, and you can sign up on that page. Like I said, make sure you do it now, because if you don't, if you're not in the first 20, then you're not going to get in. And some of the spaces have already gone to some of our members and some of the fighters and athletes I know. So get in now, get your space, and we will see you at the end of October.